Well, one man who's been boldly going around the world on the behalf of Britain and its trade has been Prince Andrew. And Downing Street's given its backing to him today in his role as trade envoy. The Chancellor, George Osborne, says the Prince has done a good job in recent years by promoting British exports. But the Duke of York's come under a lot of pressure to resign after revelations about his links with American billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, who's a convicted paedophile. So, should the Prince stay in that job or not? Let's get the views of Stuart Evans, who's chairman of Novasem, who credits Prince Andrew with getting him in touch with investors, and Robert Palmer from the anti-corruption charity Global Witness. Very good evening to you both. Stuart Evans, give us an idea of the positives from Prince Andrew, what he did for firms like yours.
Well, we met for the first time at Davos at the end of January at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. I was there as a technology pioneer, only one of two British companies there. He became aware that we were there and we met and chatted for 40 minutes. And I told him what we were interested in. And over the next 24 hours, he introduced me to the head of one of the world's biggest natural resource companies, a big company that could be a big customer, and a foreign government who introduced me to a big cement company. And those people were all in Davos, so I saw them within 48 hours. It was stunningly good value. I mean, I've been using international trade and investment services for 25 years, and this has been fabulous. And then last week he came to visit us at Imperial College. He made a point of coming by, looked at our laboratory, saw the first cement works in South Kensington since the Romans, and asked some very perceptive questions about us and was genuinely interested.
So, Robert Palmer from Global Witness, what worries you about Prince Andrew when there seem to be many glowing endorsements from people like Stuart Evans and many more?
Well, what concerns Global Witness is Prince Andrew's seemingly questionable approach to corruption. So there were reports over the weekend that only 3 months ago he invited the son-in-law of the ousted president of Tunisia to have dinner with him at Buckingham Palace. He also has other form. According to US embassy officials, Prince Andrew was incredibly dismissive about anti-corruption efforts at a brunch given to British businessmen in Central Asia. Do we really want such a senior representative of our government, of British industry and of the British people being so seemingly dismissive about such a big problem as corruption, which is not just about fast cars or expensive houses in London, it's also about sustaining dictators and kleptocrats, as well as creating a really bad environment for business to prosper.
And yet, Robert Palmer, it would seem that there is, apart from the instance you quote there, no sort of hard evidence to suggest he's stepped over the line and done anything that would discredit this country, has he?
It's more about his attitude and the perception that is given about Britain and the way the British government views corruption. We've done a lot here to try and stamp out corruption, both here and abroad. However, if you have senior government officials going around laughing off corruption, it really doesn't send the right message. However, I think this is also part of a broader picture that has emerged over the last 2 or 3 months of the way in which London in particular is a playground for dictators and their family members. So on the one hand, we have our government condoning corruption and saying how awful it is, and yet on the other, we are very willing to allow corrupt politicians access to our financial system and the sort of luxury lifestyle that you can lead in London.
Yeah, Stuart Evans, from your experience, I'm sure the whole question of corruption never came into this, and we weren't dealing with dictators in your case, but you felt from a man who volunteers his services to the country, you were pretty impressed by what you got and the connections out of it. Yes,
it was very efficient, it was very effective. His staff followed up very quickly with us in a very helpful way. And, you know, I'm a hard-working entrepreneur trying to build an international business, and it's hard work. And we need all the help we can get, and Prince Andrew provides that in spades.
And one assumes that in the world of business, as we know, you don't always deal with people you like to deal with. You sometimes have to deal with those just simply to get along in business. You say try and build a business.
Well, of course, you end up in a business context negotiating with people who are on the other side from you, and you just have to get on with that in a purposeful way. I mean, everybody that I've met through the Prince has been exemplary in their conduct, as has the Prince himself.
So, Robert Palmer, it's the pros and cons, isn't it? I mean, there are clearly many, judging by the endorsements of people like Stuart Evans, of many others, and the politicians who feel that what he does outweighs any of the negatives.
I think it's very important that our government and our government's representatives promote trade and promote business. However, we want to be encouraging clean, uncorrupt business. And I think the Prince has sent a very bad message that corruption is acceptable or even something that's funny. I think you only have to see how corruption can damage business by looking at the spike in oil prices over the last couple of weeks, which is largely due to corruption-led unrest in North Africa and the Middle East. Corruption is not a good thing. We should not have senior government ministers laughing off or shrugging off corruption.
Robert Palmer from Global Witness, Stuart Evans, Chairman of Novacent, thank you both very much for your views. John's here. What's coming up in sport then?
Jeremy, the news from the Arsenal treatment room has been getting better.